procrastination. I stopped saying I've got to wait for good things to happen to me, and I said I'm going to grind. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work. I'm going to press toward. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do everything in my power every single day. I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim.
What is going on, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things I wish I knew when I first started lifting. And I hope this can help a lot of beginners out there to avoid the mistakes that I made when I first started my lifting career. And basically, I've been lifting for about 3 years now. And just this last year, it's been getting really serious, and I've been getting really into it, trying to get a lot of progress still. But out of the 3 years I've been lifting, I would say a good majority, so probably a year and a half of that, so almost half that time, has been wasted or not used to its full potential because of 5 crucial mistakes that I've been making. So let's go over the 5. The first one is the importance of compound lifts, and the compound lifts are basically squat, bench, deadlift mainly, and other things like overhead press, barbell row, just basically things that are going to use more than one muscle group to operate at the same time. And with these, it makes sense that I would be afraid, and many beginners probably will be, just because the chance of injury on these lifts, and they can be scary lifts, because when you look at it, you see all these guys around you lifting enormous amounts of weight, and since you're a beginner, you don't really want to do that, and you're kind of scared. So a lot of us fall into this trap, but you definitely need to start doing them, even if it's just the bar. You got to check your ego at the door and make sure you get your form correctly. And once you do that, you should start adding weight to the bar, and definitely do not skip these lifts, and they are crucial for muscle building. So number 2 is proper training and proper training frequency. So what I mean by this is a training split. So when I first started, I would do a bro split, and now I'm more on a push-pull leg split. And if you want me to cover in depth the 2 different splits and more splits and like what the better option is, I'm going to leave a link in the description, because I do have another video that I did post about specific training splits and which would be the best for you and which is just the best overall. So number 3 is having a mind-muscle connection, and I would always be worrying about the weights instead of worrying about which muscle I'm actually using and if I'm using that muscle correctly. So I never used to slow down on any reps. I would just kind of pump it through, get as much weight as I can, not a good contraction, and just try to move as much weight as possible to try to look the biggest in the gym. But when it comes down to it, you know, everyone's on their own journey, and you got to do what's right for you. So definitely mind-muscle connection is something that I was lacking in the beginning, and now I focus on that more. And also, with the mind-muscle connection goes along with using primary muscles and secondary muscles. So let's say, for example, a bench press. If you're just focused on getting the weights up and down, then you're not really slowing down the movement, and you won't be feeling it as much in your chest. You'll be feeling it more on your shoulders and triceps, depending like genetically what you're more dominant of. So number 4 is not using progressive overload properly. And what this is just I didn't experiment with rep ranges. So once I did start using the compound lifts, I would go in there, hit my 3 sets of 10 on bench, my 3 sets of 10 on squat, my 3 sets of 10 on deadlift. And I wouldn't really be manipulating weight and rep ranges to the best of my ability to gain strength and overall size. I would kind of just stick with the same thing, stick with the same weights, try adding on maybe 5 pounds, and then just doing either one less rep or just having a forced rep at the end. But you want to be progressively overloading by using different rep ranges, like a 4 rep range, a 5 rep range, and things like that. So number 5 is I would always start my workouts and end my workouts with cardio. Obviously, cardio has tons of benefits if you're trying to improve your cardiovascular health and your cardiovascular endurance. However, if you're trying to gain size like I was, because I was a skinny guy when I first started out, you want to be eating in a caloric surplus. So doing, let's say, 15 minutes of running before your workout, 15 minutes of running after, that's going to burn a good amount of calories. And if you already have a tough time putting on size, burning those calories is not going to help you at all. So my first year of training, I would always start with cardio. And once I realized that you need to manipulate calories and you need to increase calories wanting to gain size, then burning these calories for no good reason, I realized I definitely should stop that, and I did. So now I do some amounts of cardio just to keep my endurance good enough and keep my cardiovascular health in check. So I play soccer like once a week on my active rest day, which I recommend people do. But I definitely wouldn't do cardio every day or do lots of amounts of a cardio if you're trying to gain size, and especially if you're a hard gainer. So the sixth thing, and kind of a bonus thing, is I would never warm up. I would never do any mobility work, and I would never do any stretching. So my first few years of lifting, the casual bro lifter, I would skip legs. So basically my first year I didn't do any legs at all. I just focused buys, arms, chest, stuff like that. And obviously now I do legs. So once I started squatting and started increasing the weights on my squat, I noticed just muscle tightness everywhere, ankle mobility problems, hip mobility problems, and that's when I needed to start doing proper warm-up for things like squats, deadlifts, and bench press. Obviously to warm up the rotator cuff, to warm up your ankles before you put heavy amounts of weight on it. And yeah, so now I'm obviously doing mobility work and warm-up stretching, like rolling out, foam rolling before squats and stuff like that. But it's something I really neglected, and I really ran into problems, especially with rotator cuff injuries and ankle injuries. So now that I've started doing this, I've noticed everything to a lesser degree, obviously. I can squat well, and I can bench well without pain. So I made this video so that any newbies out there can avoid these mistakes and get better gains, honestly. Because the 3 years that I've been training, I think that if I knew all this stuff from the get-go, I probably could have had my results within maybe 2 years, maybe a little bit less than that. So I had a lot of time wasted. But that's basically it for this video. Go follow me over on my Instagram, and peace out.